Brian Beckcom here, and I have got U.S. Congressman Will Hurd. Congressman Hurd, how are you doing today?
Counselor, I'm doing fantastic. And you better be doing it. You better call me Will through the rest of this.
Well, thank you for saying that, Will. Before we get started, I just wanted to tell you how much I look up to you. I mean, you've served our country both as a CIA officer and as a representative, and I just think you're a great American, and so I really, really appreciate you coming on the podcast. Do you mind telling us a little bit about where you come from, where you went to school, a little bit about your work history
Sure.
before you became a congressman?
Sure. I grew up, born and raised in San Antonio, and I went to public schools all through San Antonio, and then Texas A&M. And my sophomore year in high school, I had a internship at Southwest Research Institute in San Antonio, the largest private research entity in the United States of America. And I worked for this amazing female engineer who was a robotics expert. She got me interested in technology and computer science. And she was graduated from Stanford. So I was like, I'm going to go to Stanford. and so I applied, got accepted, was going to go, even got a scholarship. And then I had a counselor from my high school who was a big Aggie, and he said, kept hounding me to go to A&M's campus. So I called some buddies that I had played basketball with in my high school and stayed with them 1 week and fell in love with A&M and decided to go to A&M over Stanford and study computer science. But my freshman year, I'm in the engineering building, the old Zachary building, and I see a sign that says take 2 journalism classes in Mexico City for $425, and I had $450 in my bank account. And so I went to Mexico, fell in love being in another culture, seeing things I'd only read about in books. And I thought it was amazing. And so I added international studies in my minor. And the first class I took in international studies, I had this guest lecturer who was this former CIA tough guy, Cold Warrior, tell these amazing stories. And that began my interest in the CIA. And when I graduated from A&M, I went into the agency. And so I was a case officer. So I was the dude in the back alleys at 4:00 in the morning, recruiting spies and stealing secrets. It was best job on the planet. Did 2 years in DC. I did 2 years in India, 2 years in Pakistan, 2 years in New York City doing interagency work, and then 1.5 years in Afghanistan, where I managed all of our undercover operations. And in addition to collecting intelligence, I had to brief members of Congress. And I was pretty shocked by the caliber of our elected officials. And my mama said, you're either part of the problem, part of the solution. And so I left a job I was good at and moved to my hometown of San Antonio to run for Congress. And I lost my first election by 700 votes. I'm glad I don't tell that story anymore. I helped start a cybersecurity company and then ran successfully. And so I've been doing that now for almost 6 years.
Where do you think that drive or passion or purpose or whatever you want to label it, where does that come from for you?
I think it's kind of like this engineering mindset. Even as a kid, I liked building things. I liked solving problems. When I see a problem and I think I could fix it, I literally can't not try to fix it. And I've been that way my entire life. And on the flip side of that, I think the Dalai Lama said, and I'm going to butcher this a little bit, if you have control over a situation, don't worry, because you're going to be able to do something about it. But if you don't have control of the situation, don't worry, because there's nothing you can do about it, right?
Yeah, that's like the serenity prayer, I think, similar to the serenity prayer, right?
Sure. And I've also learned that when you prove that you can solve problems, and the feeling of solving a problem, you're like, oh man, that's awesome. And then you continue to solve problems. And then you're not afraid to try to tackle bigger problems. And I've been lucky that I've had people at every level of my life suggest me to do things, and I've tried it and I've enjoyed it and I've learned from it. Right. And so I think that's what it starts. I like solving problems.
Well, that's awesome. And one of the things you said there, success begets success. The more success you have, the more encouragement you get, and the more you do it. I took a liking to math, and so that's kind of why I got into computer science. And you're right. The way it teaches you how to think, the way it teaches you how to solve problems, is, I think, it's kind of a meta skill. It's a skill that you can support with you anywhere you go, and it's something that'll be with you your entire life.